I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. Let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. If I don't talk to you, trust in this message, so I gotta drop a couple jewels. Did it for my people, need some guidance, and they see the truth. Good afternoon, and good night. And they sick of being lied to. Power in these words, so I gotta drop a couple jewels. Did it for my people, need some guidance, and they seek the truth. I said there's power in these words, so let's being lied to. Power in these words, so let's talk. Let's talk. Yeah. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. Let's talk. Yeah. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. So let's talk. So let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. So let's talk. Yeah. So let's talk. So let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. Let's talk. Sharing knowledge like college, corruption and all the violence. Talk about all our problems, we turn our words into power. When all our heroes is dying, the media making them monsters like leaders, college, they honor like all the violence. Talk about all our problems, we turn our words into power. When all our heroes is dying, the media making them monsters like leaders, they honor like history, they writing. There's power in these words, so let's talk. Let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. Let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. Let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk.
Stand by, family. Major may be having a little difficulty. We won't stand by with our Major. This is Achoti Tell More, special live edition. Just waiting on Major TV to get back in here. Major TV, Let's Talk on YouTube. Achoti Speaks on YouTube. Be patient with us, family.
Yeah, we are here.
There we go.
On the way to go meet the rest of the UK chapter of the NFAC. Yeah, we are here. Yeah, we're out here. On the way to meet the rest of Major TV chapter of the NFAC. Yeah, we're out here.
I said there's power in these words, so let's talk.
Major TV and
let's talk. Let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. If I don't talk to you, trust in this message, so I gotta drop a couple jewels. Did it for my people, need some guidance, and they seek the truth. Good afternoon, and good night. And then they sick of being lied to. Power in these words, so I gotta drop a couple jewels. Did it for my people, need some guidance, and they seek the truth. I said there's power in these words, so let's being lied to. Power in these words, so let's talk. Let's talk. Yeah. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. Let's talk. Yeah. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. So let's talk. Let's talk. So let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. So let's talk. Yeah. So let's talk. So let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. Let's talk. Sharing knowledge like college, corruption and all the violence. Talk about all our problems, we turn our words into power. When all our heroes is dying, the media making them monsters like leaders, college, they honor like all the violence. Talk about all our problems, we turn our words into power. When all our heroes is dying, the media making them monsters like leaders, they honor like history, they writing. There's power in these words, so let's talk. Let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. Let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk. Let's talk. I said there's power in these words, so let's talk.
Hey, my fam, how you doing? It's Major TV. Let's talk. What's going on with y'all out there? Have some technical difficulties going on in the truck stop. So their website is definitely not excuse me, hotspot definitely not working for me. So I had to go to my phones. Hopefully hold up. But I didn't want to hold this. I didn't hold the subject I want to talk about. My wife at Breakfast Club interview Dr. Umar Jones. There's a lot of things he said that was pertinent, and we talk about every day in our recording live. And I'm just not talking about me, teams, but everybody, right? It's like it's hard for us to meet in the middle on a lot of things. So I definitely wanted to do this like this. And I have a smaller laptop, so my head is so big on the screen. You know what I'm saying? I got another laptop that's smaller. I'm gonna go back to my bigger laptop. So how y'all doing, Shalom? Peace and blessings. Good day, my beautiful black people. I have recorded to Tyra in the building. She gonna be stepping in for a second. And I definitely want you all to know that it's always an honor and privilege to see beautiful black people supporting Major TV as well as showing a lot of love and support. Thank you. Do me one favor though. Share the video for a second. Share the video right quick. Like the video. I appreciate that for you. All right, Diamond Black, here we go. I don't know what that means, but yeah, we in the building for sure. All day, every day. Nice to see you. That's true. Say I want you. How you doing? Peace. Tis the season. Need everybody was good. I'm good, man. Had a pretty decent day. As usual. Trying my creative, trying to get that bag, but you know, hey, life. Gary Branch in the building. What's up, man? TV. Let's talk black love, big bro. That's what it's all about, man. I don't get it. Like, I really don't get why we understand what black love is and being on core, black unity. It's 2021 and we really on some. We don't be on some other stuff. I mean, we gonna talk about a lot today. Trust me, it's going diggity. My people in the building, clean black sneakers, peace and black power. Major chat for sure. Black power, sister. Glad you're able to tune in. My girl Shamika, Ghostly, what's up? Salam. One love, all day, every day. How you doing out there? What's up? Black Ricardo, peace of the chat. Say peace to y'all. You know y'all in the building, y'all representing. TNT with Mike and Jazz, that's my family. That's my family from another mother. Good people right there. We in the building, bro. B1, just be black, family. You already know, man. Thank you so much for you and wife for tuning in. All right, Clean Black Sneakers speaking to you all. All right, make sure I got everybody shout out. All right, let's see what's going on. Hey, what's up, Robin? How you doing, baby? Hello, Major. How this evening? Hotel, Shalom. Everything is beautiful. I'm feeling good. You know what I'm saying? I'm not complaining. It's all love on my end. Virginia Price, what's up, Shalom? Just be black always and forever. You already know. Um, I'm gonna bring Tamara in. According to Tamara, let her come in and also chat with y'all and whatnot. I'm gonna give it a few. I'm gonna give it a few minutes for some more people come to chat. You know, I kind of stalled it before I I go off into everything. Let me bring her to chat. Let her on the queue. Let her come on in. Shalom, how you doing, Cody? What's up?
Hello, Major Major. How you, family?
I'm good. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? We got right now 13 people that's viewing us. Appreciate that. I did some shout outs or what have you. Um, I'm gonna try to give it a couple of more minutes before we go into it because it's got a lot I want to talk about. But I want the family just kind of like relax, get y'all a sip of water. You want to get some wine, something, get no drink nothing hard though. We're gonna go in this. We're gonna go in this thing. We're gonna talk about something that's very important. And Dr. Umar Jones was talking about the Breakfast Club. And I want to play this. I want to go through it right. I do have the video in my mentions. Excuse me. In my description of the video, go check it out if you haven't seen it. It's very profound. It's very deep. This brother, Dr. Umar, he really be going hard. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely want to make sure that we cover this. My girl in the building, what's up? How you doing, Deborah Hobbs? What's up, Shalom? Queen, you know what I'm saying? I'm good in the building. She said, Shalom, King. I got a call to on Tyra here, Cody Tyra in the building. And hide the family for a minute, Cody?
Shalom, family, shalom. Good to be back on the microphone. It's been a minute since I've been on Achoti Speaks platform. Shalom, shalom. Good to see y'all in the house. Black power.
All right. We're gonna go through this. We're gonna go through this video. It's part that I already. Well, I'm gonna go through the video, and I just want to talk to y'all first and foremost about why I really wanted to do this. You know what I'm saying? I really wanted to touch up on some things he was saying, and I also want to talk about this brother on a side note, what he had been going through with the black community supporting him, and what have you. But I really want to talk about the things he was talking about in the video. So without further ado, I want to go into this right quick. Let's get it.
And he's the Scooby Doo. If I was East Indian, if I was Arab, if I was European Jew, if I was Italian, the Scooby Doo. It's only because it's us that we don't take something like this as serious. So it's like raising money in another round for a startup company. Raising money in another round for like a startup. Well, don't want to send donations. Well, the donation should go to cash.me/FDMG school. So if you're on the Cash app, it's $FDMG school. If you're PayPal, it's paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Okay. So Cash App is FDMG School, PayPal is FDMG Academy. They can also mail check or money order, and that information is on my website at drumarjohnson.com. They can also join the Loyal Donors Club. So that's an automatic contribution every month. $50 a month bronze, $100 a month silver, $250 is gold, $500 is platinum, and $1,000 a month is diamond. Gotcha.
Why do you think that, you said if you were Mexican or if you were Asian, why do you think that black people don't go to support, or you not supporting, or do you feel like, you're not getting the support that you should be getting?
Now, here's the point, and that's a great question, Andy. It's not that black people don't support other black people. We are not used to being responsible for building our own institutions. Are you following me? If I was opening up a nightclub, some sort of a basketball league, I would have the support. But we are not accustomed to being responsible for building our own institutions. So, for example, if you look around America, can you show me a single independent black community in 50 states? 50 states, you can't show me one black community where we own the hospital, the bank, the school, and the supermarket. And the reason I point out those four institutions, Envy, is because you need the supermarket to feed the people, the school to teach the people, the hospital to save the people, and the bank to invest in the people. So those are the four essential institutions of an independent community. You don't have those four in any black town anywhere in the United States, and we are a $2 trillion people. How do you explain that? And I would say slavery One of the psychological residuals of slavery, it took from us that natural desire to want to control your environment and your destiny. If you notice, when ethnic nationals come to America, the first thing they do is look for where are we going to build our first community. That's the first thing, because it is natural to want to control your environment. It is natural to guarantee your children their future. Black people don't do that. When we wake up, the first thing we think about is what can I buy to make myself look more important than other black people. You see, so our whole orientation towards life is different from other groups as a result of slavery. What would you say to people in Atlanta who be like, "Well, we are a black city"? Okay, but if you look closely at the statistics in Atlanta, and I just came back from Atlanta, and I'll be there again for Juneteenth. And shout out to South Fulton Councilman Mark Baker, who brought me down to speak at the Unity Day last weekend. When you look at the statistics, though, in Atlanta, when you look at the homelessness, and when you look at the high school completion rate for black boys, and when you look at the property ownership, I do not see this black mecca of proof, propaganda proof that people are talking about. Don't get me wrong, Atlanta is progressive and it is doing better than a lot of other cities for black people, but I'm still seeing those same core issues that five-headed demon or that five-headed dragon has brought to the black community. When I talk about the five-headed dragon, I'm talking about the miseducation, the economic castration, the mass incarceration, the gentrification, and the access to wealth. Atlanta still has all those problems, and the numbers are not low, not to mention the extremely high black male HIV/AIDS rate, which in Atlanta is higher than it is for many second and third world nations around the world. Wow.
And let's talk about what Umar Jones was talking about, right? And let's really like dig into it, because I kind of let the video go longer than I wanted to go. But he was talking about any other community that wanted to build something. He talked about the full code lands within the community, and I like the way how he did the thing about school to educate, grocery store to feed the people, hospital to save the people, and the bank to invest in the people. I love them full things he mentioned, full strong, powerful points. And he went so far as going deep when they mentioned about Atlanta, right? He made it extremely known that even though Atlanta is a progressive city, and I live out here, I live out there, that four-headed, he said, then a monster, whatever, I'm gonna say four important factors: school to educate, hospitals to save lives, stores to feed our people, grocery stores, and banks to invest in the community, right? We can also talk about a store that have buy clothes and whatnot. But to make a long story short, it's 2021, and there's history that's been documented that black people one time had those things, right? We know about Black Wall Street, and we know about Town White. When we talk about Black Wall Street, that was a top echelon of all black cities. You have many thriving black cities, right, and communities. But he don't mention that, and I'm throwing it in there right now. But when you talk about them four valid things we need in the community, he's actually relating that, but he compared like the Jewish community, the Mexicans, the Asians, and what have you, and how when they come with the United States, what their core value system and goals up, and that's to make sure they're established and everything they need and want is there. And for us, we lost that, and we know about student racism. We know about how they invaded our community, cased on and destroyed the community, right? But when you let a disconnect of where we at now compared to then, and the type of the mindsets that we have now, because they have really beat And we be told we not scared. They beat fearing us. They beat doubting us. They beat confusion in us. See, as they said, know where you're going, you gotta know where you come from. Cause we don't read, cause we don't study, cause we don't really challenge ourselves and really be men and women. And I'm talking about all of us. And I know there's those who are doing it. I'm just speaking real because it can be few doing it. But if they don't have the support of the people, it won't go nowhere. Right? So when you hear Umar talking about this, ain't nowhere in the world. Because let me get the backstory of Umar. You know when he come out saying about the school thing and what have you. He got more criticism. He got more pushback than anything. Because you know the mindset, like you talking about the slave mentality, like Mike always talking about changing psychological slavery, how he taught us. The willing land divide and conquer. I was very mindset because you know why when you program to think like he's talking about, you program to think one way, which is totally contrary. Because the way how we are growing up now compared to way back then, our value system has been destroyed. Like you said, we don't think about investment community. We think about buying something, how good we gonna look and how we gonna sound like a black person. That's the mindset it gave us. That's why we listen to the music, we watch the movies, we be around black people. The mindset, right? So I'm just only trying to say is Umar is so true about the fact that it would been anybody else that school have been built. Because black people, mine says the automatic contrast any black person that asks for help for a cause of liberating black people because the first thing we start doing is guess what? Questioning, looking for anything wrong with him or any faults or if it's scandalous because we've been taught that way. And it's sad because it's 2021. We spend over 2 trillion a year. We have these four basic things that we like. And don't get me wrong, we have black schools, but not the type of black schools we should have. Right? We have black banks, but very, very few. We have grocery stores, but you don't hear nothing about them like talk about it. Hospitals, I don't know, you might have a doctor office here and there. Hospitals, you have to help them out with that. I'm gonna let Achoti come in and shed some sentiments on that as we go along and as far in the video.
Well, my take on it, thank you for the mic. My take on it is this: we have to understand what our priorities are, right? Like you said, he laid out four basic departments or areas that we should focus on, and he took over the education part. And like you said, he got backlash over it because we don't know what to value, right? We can't set our priorities if we don't know what to value. We don't value education. So that's why, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, the brother didn't get a lot of support because most times we look at schools, um, elementary and junior high and middle school, we look at those schools as a form of babysitting. So there's no value in what the kids are getting out or what the information is being put into them. It's just it's being used. It's valuable for what it is. Babysitting while you go to work to make a living to feed the little ones. So once we start to value these things such as our health, such as our education, and our worth through assets, then we'll be able to better understand a brother such as Umar when he speaks to those things as being critical for the development of a strong black nation. Um, that's my take on that first part. Uh,
All right, good, good. Let's see nobody mention. I'm gonna go to y'all comments. I want to try to speed this video, but not speed through, but try to keep this video going because he's talking about some stuff.
Do you think the pandemic truly exposed the issues of public schools in the Black and brown community? I think the pandemic exposed how disorganized Black people are. I think the pandemic exposed how our lack of institutional infrastructure. I think, though, the silver lining was that the pandemic gave Black parents an opportunity to teach their own children. And I think a lot of Black parents learned as a result of that opportunity that they can do this. So I see a lot of parents who are contacting me, Dr. Umar, we need some coaching because as a result of the pandemic, we started homeschooling our children and we're liking our success. So we're not sending them back. We're going to finish this out and we need you to help us out with that. So I like the fact that it gave Black parents an opportunity to show themselves that educating your own child is not as difficult. It's good for the parent to see, my child don't have a reading disability. He just needed to read more. My daughter don't have a math disability. She just needed to practice her math more. My son don't have ADHD or conduct disorder or oppositional defiance. He didn't need Ritalin or Adderall or Concerta or Metadate or Cycler. He just needed a more rigorous disciplinary program. So a lot of parents have been able to disprove the labels that the school has given their children. What's your biggest issue with the public school? My biggest issue with the public schools under the remote learning platform of COVID, I got a couple issues. Issue number one, these schools, while our children are learning at home, are still trying to get them tested for special education. Why, if he's at home learning through a computer, of course he's not going to be as motivated. That's right. Of course he's not going to do as well because he has to learn through a computer. Children don't learn from computers, they learn from people. If the teacher was boring in the classroom, she's going to be extra boring through the laptop. That's right. So there's a process lost there that public schools are not taking into account, Charlemagne. And as a result of that, they're sending parents letters requesting permission to evaluate your child. Are you kidding? No, I'm telling you, you don't sign that. Because even if you sign it, Charlemagne, they can evaluate. School psychologist, which is what I am, comes back and says he has a reading disability. Okay, how are you going to deliver his special ed services if he's at home? If he can't learn through the computer with a regular teacher, what is your special ed program going to offer this boy or girl that's going to rectify that? Nothing. Nothing. So the schools are using this as an opportunity to get paid because every time you put a child in special ed, the school gets more money. So this is just a quick hustle. And I'm telling Black parents, hell no. If you want to improve their academics, bring them back into the classroom. Because guess what? As much as a lot of children did not like going to school, a lot of them are ready to go back now. They've been home too long. That's right. And even though some school districts have converted to hybrid where they go to class 2 or 3 days a week, 2 or 3 days at home, a lot of them have not. So I'm hearing from children on the street, Dr. Umar, I'm ready to go back to school. But there's a discrepancy between white suburban public schools and Black inner city public schools. They're showing that amongst the white suburban public and charter schools, 60% of them and greater are back in school. But when you look at the Black inner city hood schools, 40% and lower are back in school. You know why? Because the white teachers aren't as motivated to go back into the school and teach the Black kids, but they don't have a problem going back into the school to teach the white kids. So the white kids are back in the building. The Black kids are still at home. It's racism. And unfortunately, we talked about this before, the white teachers union, the American Federation of Teachers and the National Education Association, their job is not to make the teachers accountable to our children. Their job is to make the teacher's job as easy as possible. So as long as the middle class teachers of America can ride out this COVID thing as an excuse to not go back into the classroom and teach the children, they're going to do it. Don't get me wrong. COVID is a concern. I understand that. But guess what? All those white kids learning in the suburban public school, I'm not hearing about no epidemic of an increase in COVID. I'm not hearing about nobody being carried out on stretchers. I'm not hearing about kids recontaminating other kids. There's been almost no concerns at all. So if it can work for the white kids in the suburbs, why can't it work for the Black kids in the hood?
And the special ed classes and ADD and ADHD, do you believe those things exist, or do you think it's just a way for people to be lazy and a way for school to make more money?
I'm glad you asked that question.
I was going to ask that because as a child, and me being a kid, I don't ever remember hearing cases of ADHD and ADD. I don't remember hearing that. Even with like kids talking now about I'm depressed and I'm doing this. I didn't hear that as when I was a teen. I'm
couple reasons for that. Number one, you don't get ADD till 1980 in the first place. So they dropped off ADD in 1980, and then they revised it, added hyperactivity in 1987. You see, so it just started coming upon us around that time. So what happened then was once the drug companies started invading the public school, and they started invading the public school by paying for the teacher conferences, making donations to the low income school districts. You see, so now the teachers are getting packets in their mailbox. If the child can't sit still, maybe you should have the parent get him evaluated. You see, so the drug companies have done an excellent job of infiltrating and invading the public school culture to the point now every child knows what ADHD is. Every teacher thinks they can diagnose it. Every parent knows what conduct disorder is. The drug company has succeeded. The drug companies have succeeded in normalizing mental illness in the public schoolhouse. Nobody should be that comfortable throwing around words like ADHD. Nobody should be that comfortable throwing around medical names like Ritalin and Adderall and Concerta and Meditate, but they know what they are because the drug companies have spent so much money making children, parents, and teachers think it's okay to take these drugs, which many versions are only a molecule or two away from the same crack cocaine that is sending so many black men to prison. So how is it acceptable to give children drugs, but you lock their father up if you catch them with it? If drugs are no good adults, it should likely be no good for children. And these drugs come with a lot of very dangerous, irreversible side effects. But the other point to Indy's question is this. Most of our kids who are classified with specific learning disabilities, right? That's one category. Now, special ed is 13 categories. Special ed is blindness, hearing impairment, orthopedic impairment, multiple disability, developmental delay, autism, emotional disturbance, intellectual disabilities. There's 13.
You can fail a standardized test and they'll put you in special ed.
Right. But here's the thing. Of the 13 disabilities, 4 of them are the Jim Crow of special ed. Talk to me. The learning disability, intellectual disability, emotional disturbance, and other health impairment, the ADHD. Most black kids in special ed are in there for that. They're not in there for speech. They're not in there for blindness. They're not in there for hearing problems, orthopedic issues. No. Learning, emotion, intelligence, and behavior. You see, the problem with those 4, Charlemagne and Indy, is they are the most subjective of all 13. In other words, if a child got a speech problem, you can tell. If a child is blind, you can tell. If a child is deaf, you can tell. If a child is emotionally disturbed, are you sure? Or does he just have a relationship problem with one teacher? According to the law, for you to classify a kid with an emotional disturbance, he's supposed to have problems building and maintaining relationships with teachers and peers. Teachers with an S, peers with an S. But guess what they do? If a black boy can't get along with one teacher, they'll say he's emotionally disturbed. That's against the law. The law doesn't say you can classify a kid as emotionally disturbed because of one teacher. You're supposed to show a pattern. He can't get along with most of the teachers. He can't get along with most of his peers. But one relationship issue with one teacher, and they'll slap him with an emotional disturbance because the parents don't know the law. And to that point, before I forget,
by the way, they definitely had all that stuff. They was definitely trying to put me on Ritalin in
my new book.
Black Parent Advocate.
Copy for Envy.
Thank you, sir.
Copy for Angie.
Thank you, sir.
Now, this new book here, Black Parent Advocate, follows up on my first book, which y'all had. And this book is broken into 2 sections. The first section gives our parents a whole bunch of sample letters that they can use to give to the school they're having a problem. So if the school says, we want to test your son for a reading disability, and you don't want that to happen, I have a letter that you can give to school. If the school says your son can't come back unless you put him on medication, I have a letter you can give them for that. If your child is in special ed and they haven't learned anything, although they've been in special ed for 40 and 50 years, I have a letter that you can give them for that. So the first half is letters parents can use to respond. Most of the time when I'm helping our parents, I have to show them how to respond. The second half of the book teaches them how to understand the different documents that the school gives them. So if Charlemagne gets a psychological evaluation for your daughter, you don't know what this is, but I got a chapter in here that shows you how to understand it. What should be in it? What are the sections? How do you judge it? If DJB gets an IEP for his son, he looks at the IEP, he don't know what this is. Well, guess what I do? I break down the IEP, the different parts, the different components, what should be in it. If Charlemagne asked the school to put together a behavior for his son, you don't know what should be in the behavior plan. But guess what? I got it in here. Line for line, word for word. So if you get a report, you can open up this book, write your child's evaluation, and go section for section. What should be in here, and how can I evaluate the quality of it?
So, what are your thoughts on HBCUs and those colleges? Like Pastor P just on the show a couple of days ago, he was talking about his younger son just said.
Now, he covered a lot of things, in his video, and I'm gonna touch as much as I can touch, but there's one area I'm definitely focusing on. I'm gonna let Achoti to tomorrow come in afterwards. But let me say this: when he was breaking down suburban kids versus urban kids, and how they're quick to put them in school and hesitate in putting black people in school, and talking about the white teachers and what have you, and how they are not about going to school and teaching a black person. And he was talking about how a black kid can't learn. Bad enough a black kid struggle learning in a classroom with a boring teacher. Imagine on a laptop. The teacher can even be more boring, right? So him saying that, and how he showed that it's all racist in the sense of how they're treating black kids, even though they acknowledge COVID being a serious situation, but also acknowledge, how these schools are not pushing for our kids to get back in the classroom, how these white teachers are playing a major part, right? And not really want to make sure our black kids get education, which we know is a bunch of misinformation, right? But still, he's just pointing out some factors when asking the question about the COVID in school and what have you. And after he spoke about that, he went to talking about how, and this is the point I really want to talk about. And he's been emphasizing for years how they're so quick to give drugs to our kids. And they got teachers even diagnosing kids what they're not supposed to, what they are not supposed to, right? And how the drug pharmaceutical company have camera in the schools. We know they everywhere, they control them everywhere. They're all over the news, radio, it's everywhere. I mean, they giving the medication, they giving it to the animals, they giving it to everybody, right? I mean, they're basically controlling everything. But you got it, now they're pushing it in the schools so heavy, like quick to diagnose a black child and give a black child a drug. And it's just so, it's sad. And somebody mentioned, said they had started that in 2000 and something, how this particular drug, he said they kept pushing, right? And I'm not as on top of all the drugs out there and what have you, but I know there's a lot of drugs out there and medications that they try to say for mental health or some kind of mental disorder and what have you. And when I heard Umar Johnson talking about this, right, I remember reading something, I don't know, about 20 years ago, but over 20 years ago about racism in psychology, right? And I think at that time, Jim Brown was a part of the board. And they just did a lot of research, especially stuff they were doing in Johannesburg, South Africa, where they was showing how they was experimenting on a lot of African people, right? With all these different drugs and all these different methods ways of really just trying to, of course, destroy them, right? But see how it affect everybody else. So they've been doing a lot of experimentation and so forth, so on, with seeing how drugs can subjugate, control, or diminish one's mental capabilities. So we were talking about that, and he went in hard about how they're describing and giving drugs to our kids and teaching everybody, saying something wrong with the child and he should get this, he should get that. And right now some of the parents, a lot of black parents say something wrong with that child, you gotta give them this medication or that medication. And it is sickening. And when he started talking about that, it just caught my attention, right? And I definitely wanted to expound on it because it's so imperative. We realize that too many times we let these schools Even in the black home, diagnose our kid just because the kid may be hyperactive, or just because the kid may have a reading or whatever disorder, don't mean nothing wrong with them, or comprehension disorder. Some people learn faster than others. Some people um some people need help and what have you. And like he was also saying how fair it is to put black kids in special ed. All that have to be looked at and challenged in that book. I mean, I suggest everybody get that book. I spoke about a book that did, but I'm probably get the more. The Black Parent Advocate. It's a powerful book. The letters he see got on he wrote the challenge the system, wrote about the challenge the system and the different tests, all this that nothing talking about. We definitely need to know that. Because there is a war now with black boys and girls in this society period. I'm gonna let you Cody step in and take over.
So, all right. Thank you all for giving me the mic again. That was kind of personal to me because I taught school 2000, 2001. I taught middle school. And at the same time, I was tasked with raising my nephew. And he was, I believe, in the third grade at the time. And you know how it is growing up in New Orleans. As soon as a kid gets into a fight or don't want to do their classwork, they want to send them to the principal's office. And sooner or later, they end up in what we call special ed because he's unruly, right? So they labeled him ADHD. They suspended him and they wanted to put him on Ritalin at the time. I believe it was Ritalin to help with the ADHD. And I was just like livid with my sister for even considering it. So I told her, let him come with me. I took him to the school where I was teaching at, out in the country, out in Port Sulphur. Now, you know, they had what they call 504 kids. Remember 504 kids? That was the kids that they deemed special, but they were allowed to stay in the regular classroom. They had modified learning curriculum. So they wanted to label him a 504 kid, and I refused to allow them to do that. And that's what we have to do, and that's what Dr. Umar Johnson was speaking about. You have to learn how to fight for your kids' rights. Don't allow them to say, okay, put this label on your kid and you just go along with that, because with that label comes those drugs. I had a young girl in my class. She was a seventh grader, and she was on Ritalin, and she would come to my class so drugged up, she's falling asleep all the time. But then when she was not on the drugs, she was off the chain, bouncing off the wall, could not keep still. And it turned out that the kid was just troubled. Her daddy was locked up. Her mama was on drugs. She was living with her elderly grandmother. So most times these kids just need attention. Sometimes they just need a spanking. Sometimes they just need a combination of both. But what we don't need is to allow our oppressors to decide if something's wrong with our kids and then decide what type of medication they want to put them on, which could cause a whole lot of other psychiatric damage to their brains. Another thing I wanted to touch on is the vaccination. We have to notice the pattern that in our young, especially in our young boys, when they reach a certain age, like 6 or 7 years old, they begin to develop these tendencies to want to rebel really, really hard. And I want to formally say that I think it's tied to the vaccination shots that they get. I think it's something in those vaccination shots that turns on some type of extra testosterone in these boys that make them super aggressive. And especially if they don't have a male figure in the home to kind of tame that down to help teach them how to place that aggression, he comes out as being somebody that's unruly, and then they're labeled as ADHD. So I think that we have to definitely stand up and say, no, we're not going to take these vaccinations. They've got certain nations of people that use religious stances or even medical stances to say they won't let their kids be vaccinated, and they have letters and they present letters to the schools, and the schools have to acknowledge it. And so that's all those letters that Dr. Umar Johnson was referencing in his book is available to you. Those are the tools and mechanisms that you need to use to fight back against all the laws that they put in place to try to take away your parental rights. Is in effect is what they're doing. So bottom line, family, is we need to educate our own kids, whether it be in homeschool or whether it be in a school such as what Dr. Umar Johnson has going on.
And someone asked for school. I think it's in Wilmington, Delaware. Um, I looked the school up when I have you. I had donated to the school. I'm gonna donate again, and I suggest everybody else to donate to the school because he really have good intentions. You know, just because he don't want to go to the system and get credit or deal with banks or what have you. He don't want to get some kind of line of credit or any money from the government as far as grants or what have you. We shouldn't criticize him. If you want to buy black and be independent owned by blacks, we should document. He got a lot of criticism for not going through the government or going to the banks to get loans. And I just feel like that's unfair to black people. Hypocritical for us to speak about black empowerment, buy black, needing black schools, need to inform our community about self and dealing with the everyday crisis that we have to deal with about preparing our family, our kids, our community, how to fight back as well as build. He's trying to do that. And I don't know why it's so much of rah-rah and nonsense over the years with this brother. But Corey, that was beautiful. I see you well versed with it. I'm not familiar with a lot of drugs. I heard a lot of drugs like rhythm and whatnot. I had no idea what it was for. I just know people taking them back today. But it's sickening and sad to see that our kids are being diagnosed and distributed drugs that it's uncalled for, that don't really even answer the real issue with that child life, you know. And what's so sad is we killing our babies, we destroying our babies, and we don't even know it. You know, we put the system hand, and if the system say they this or that, we'll call it, you know. And I personally can speak about it, but I don't personally speak about myself personally. But I experienced it as a child myself about it, and it's not a fun feeling. You know, you're going to really believe in certain things, you're going to call yourself that. So psychologically, that also have a damaging effect on our children. So I want to go off into playing some more of the vehicles. The video is powerful. Talk about HBCUs next, and some information he dropped about that is very deep. I didn't even know that. This is buffering right now, y'all.
He's going to Tennessee State, which is an HBCU. So what are your thoughts on HBCU and the education you get out of HBCU compared to an education, let's say you get at another university, a SUNY school, or a CUNY school?
Absolutely. And shout out to the HBCUs. Shout out to Alcorn State University down in Mississippi. I keynoted their Black History Month program in February. I support the HBCUs. We need the HBCUs. They are responsible for no less than 50% of all black professionals in America. You would not have the amount of doctors you have. You would not have the amount of attorneys you have. You wouldn't have the amount of engineers, teachers, psychologists. The HBCU has single-handedly supplied the black middle class with a fresh generation of black professionals. So they are extremely relevant, extremely valuable. The problem I have, though, if I offer one criticism constructively, most HBCUs do not teach the students Black history. Let me say that again. As an undergraduate student at a historically Black college in the United States, you are not likely to get a single course.
There's no African American courses?
Wow. Very few. You have over 100 HBCUs, and almost none of them offer Black history as a general ed course or requirement for these students? How can that be? How can I go to an HBCU and not learn who I am? How can I go to an HBCU and not learn where I come from? And I would argue that the reason why the HBCUs don't teach Black history is because many of them are ran by the state. Others are financed by white philanthropy. And in an attempt to make the funders as comfortable as possible, they have done away with teaching kids who they are. It needs to be a movement to bring Black history into the Black college. It's totally ironic. It's paradoxical. It doesn't make any sense, but it is an issue. And so one of the things that I'm trying to do is offer for free, if I have to, an introductory course in Black history for undergraduate HBCU students.
We had African American history here at the university when I went. But my problem with a lot of HBCUs is their curriculum doesn't change, right? So, for instance, my daughter was last year she was looking to go to college, right? So we went to every HBCU there from here to Atlanta, right? From here to Florida. But the problem was she wanted to study real estate. She wanted to get into real estate. And not one HBCU had real estate as a major where they teach them how to do that. I mean, that's my problem because it's almost like I feel like sometimes we teach how to be workers and not entrepreneurs. So the only schools that had real estate classes and real estate majors were your NYU. Right? Those type of schools. And we went from everywhere from Morgan to Howard, to Hampton, to Spelman, to Clark, to schools like we went to all of them and none of them had that as a major. They had a class you could take, but now if you want to be a major to figure out, how do most people make their money? Tech, real estate. And we don't offer those as majors. That's a problem.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna add to that, many HBCUs have reduced the amount of industrial and mechanical training programs that they used to offer. In other words, you usually could get licensed as a plumber
To learn a trade.
HBCU, a license as a electrician through the HBCU, licensed as a auto mechanic through the HBCU, certified as a farmer through the HBCU, and you still have many HBCUs who offer those industrial and mechanical training programs, but a lot of them have not. A lot of them have given them up. And when you talk about the mass incarceration of Black people, men in particular, and of course our sisters are catching up, you're talking about the deindustrialization of Black America. Because up until 1970, you did not have to go to college to get a good job and live a comfortable life. You came out of high school or you graduated from the HBCU licensed as a roofer, licensed as a carpenter, licensed as a welder. Those were the skills that paid your bills. The problem with the college education, not to downplay it, I'm a doctor, I got 6 degrees, 3 universities. I'm not downplaying the college degree, but we have to understand something. The university gives you a competency. If Charlemagne has a degree in history, you're competent. You have an intellectual knowledge base. Dr. Umar Johnson is a clinical psychology doctor, a certified school psychologist. I have an intellectual information base. But when you can work with your hands, you have a practical skill base that you apply immediately to get paid. If I can fix windows, I can fix anybody's window. If I can work on a car, I can work on anybody's car. I can get paid above the table or below the table. But my family gonna eat because I can use these hands. But Charlemagne, if my degree is in political science, I have an intellectual knowledge base. How can I apply that in the Black community to get paid? If my degree, is in a liberal arts, how can I apply that in the Black community to get paid? Most of what we learn in college is not economically relevant in the Black community, but skills are. So if I were in charge, every Black child, male or female, straight out of high school, would go to trade school first, spend 2 years, get licensed or certified in a trade, and now you can go to college because you can afford to pay for it yourself. And if you can't get a job with your college degree, you can fall back on these hands, i.e., the skills that pay the bills.
I agree with you. I'm a big trade school proponent. But let's switch gears a little bit, man, because It's been a very dark week, right?
Yes, sir.
People feel like we can breathe again after the Derek Chauvin verdict. And, George Floyd's brother.
Now let's get into what he was talking about regarding HBCUs. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I was surprised that it wasn't teaching Black history or something that would be more profoundly given regarding our history, as opposed to how um, America has decided to give us our history and making their history first and then our last. I see somebody talking about Columbus, talking Columbus had discovered the United States. We know a black man has discovered America, and they was here. We was here for anyone's here anyway. But that was very alarming and surprising. Then he talked about why it's like that to please these white philanthropists and donors, um, and the government, of course, too. I think the government also give grants and money too, and sometimes appeasing them, we think that's the way out. We gotta think about us as opposed to worry about them. And when he talked about it, it just made me think, like how black people always compromise just to get ahead and not really realizing you compromising, you also misinforming and misleading. Because there's a lot of black people, like Umar Johnson said, that well, I believe that was Charlamagne God talked about how they teach us to work for somebody. I don't know if it was Charlamagne God or DJ Envy told him how they teach us to work for somebody. I think it was DJ Envy, as opposed to being an entrepreneur. When he was talking about him and his daughter went to several HBCUs and they had no real estate courses. You know what I'm saying? And it was sad knowing that that's the field that if you learn about real estate, you can instantly become a millionaire. You can instantly be a moving shaker in our community. And it just surprised me when he was saying that. And then when he talked about trade, I mean, when I found out they wasn't pushing trade schools like they were back in the day, because I know Booker T. Washington, that was his thing, teaching trades, right? He pushed that so hard, and he wasn't worried about racism. He was almost, he didn't care. He was complicit towards a lot of things. While W. Du Bois debated with him like, no, we should be treated equal, blah blah blah. He's like, we have no time for that. Black people have to learn how to build, create. Black people have to worry about them and protecting what they have and building what they have, And W. Du Bois was like, no, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna fight for equality, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that. We're not gonna be land let them do this and say this to us. We're gonna stand up. But to find out that HBCU is not pushing trades like welding, um, um, auto mechanics, all of the trades, cooking and all that stuff that you don't have to be in college a long time for, right? Because when you're dealing with a trade, a lot of trades be less as far as years and whatnot, and then it be something you can really learn. Even truck driving, that's a trade. And I'm saying I went to school just only 3 weeks, but to take the trades out, a lot of these HBCUs are disappointing because we need electricians, we need plumbers, you know what I'm saying? We need carpenters, we need, mechanics and what have you. And when he spoke about it, I'm like, damn, I didn't know that. But HBCUs got to step up. They hold a high amount of respect on responsibility in reference to sending our black people to the next level. Because Umar Johnson acknowledged like 50% of um talking about law, 50% of like in America, they said HBCUs push out our doctors, lawyers, etc. And he was talking about how influential HBCUs been. So for them not to have something that on our culture and history, not no BS, not no lies, some real pertinent history, let me be motivated and inspired to want to build and continue our legacy is a bit disappointing. I'll let you step in the Cody.
Guys, it is quite disappointing. I wanted to go to HBCU, but my mom couldn't afford to allow me to go off to college or whatever. But I had to go where I got the scholarship, which was right there in hometown. But most of the HBCUs, I recently found out, they're not owned by black people at all. So that's that was done on purpose to establish black schools, the city historically black schools, because that was their form of indoctrination, in the form of teaching us their whitewashed version of our history. That's where we learn our history in those schools. And the curriculum was put forth in these schools, HBCUs, by our oppressors. They taught us our history. So people like Marcus Garvey was fighting against that. Frederick Douglass was fighting against that. Then you had what we call the talented 10. W.E.B. Du Bois, Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston. They was like, yeah, let's go ahead and get along and try to, prove that we're equal with these people. Marcus Garvey and Frederick Douglass was no, we need to teach our own thing and teach the true history, and that's mainly why Marcus Garvey had to go. That's the true history of the HBCUs and how we so-called learn our history. We ever stop to wonder why our history starts with the transatlantic slave trade? It was done on purpose because they didn't want you to know how you were kings and queens prior to that. They knew exactly who they were snatching off of the west coast of Africa. They knew exactly who they were taking and bringing back to Spain from these very shores of America and South America. So this is all part of their plan of whitewashing our history, meaning they painted themselves in our image. Then they told us who we were. We bought into it. That's okay, because now we vote. And so moving forward, we do need to encourage our kids to not spend their dollars, but spend your dollars, getting out loans and taking out loans to go to these white men's colleges and go to these small tech schools, learn a trade, right? They used to teach trades in high school. You used to have home ec, you used to have auto mechanics, carpentry. They used to teach that in high school. They cut all that out in our schools. So we do have to start valuing our talents. And so if we value our talents, once we finish with their high school requirements, then we go to the trade schools. We learn how to be plumbers, electricians, and things of that nature, mechanics, so that we can open up our own businesses and hire our own people, and the money stays in the community.
Right. And historically, yeah, HBCUs was all created during segregation and whatnot, and of course it was a way of saying they're giving us something for us. At the same time, we know they were trying to control it. You know what I'm saying? But over the years, you have had so many black people come through there, and they should have grasped it. Well, from what I learned, they probably from what I learned, um, they started out speaking about our history. I don't know how profound they went into it. It was like it been watered down when they don't speak about it as much, but definitely talk about some of the most pertinent things and what have you. But that's definitely a conflict of interest when dealing with the white power structure and whatnot. But they still have to realize they share the same responsibility. Each one of us share in reference to educating and teaching our kids about our history. Let's move on with this.
So it said, justice for Floyd means freedom for us all. What do you think of that?
but Floyd didn't get justice because Floyd isn't coming back from the grave.
Right.
And I want to be very clear. I don't know what Black America is celebrating. The Chauvin conviction was not a cause for celebration. And I want everybody to pump the brakes and understand something. No laws have been changed. No laws have been added to hold the police accountable for the unjustified murder of unarmed Black people.
Yeah.
So we are right where we were before Chauvin was convicted. And the only reason why he was convicted, to be honest with you, it had nothing to do with Black justice. Derek Chauvin was convicted for the same reason O.J. Simpson was acquitted. Now, I don't know if O.J. Simpson was guilty or innocent, but that's irrelevant. The reason O.J. got off in 95 is because the Rodney King riots in 1992 cost Los Angeles County untold millions of dollars in damage. They were still repairing the county when O.J. went to trial. Do you really think they're going to let the city burn down a second time when we hadn't done making the repairs from the first riot? It's the same thing in Minnesota.
Now listen, I don't disagree with that, but that's the same thing Fox News is saying. Fox News is, they're saying that it's because that people were protesting and some people were rioting and looting that the jury was afraid to convict Derek Chauvin. I don't like that because it takes Derek Chauvin off the hook.
Well, most jurors were white. You only had 4 Blacks. You had 2 mixed race. The other was European. I don't think the jurors were afraid per se, but I believe that they were very reasonable. And they said to themselves, this city just burned a year ago. Countless millions of dollars in damages that had to be paid out. If we do not convict him, it's going to burn again. And not only is Minnesota going to burn, half the cities in America are prepared for protests. And let me be clear, they were not concerned with the Black protesters. The Black protesters did not break the law. They were concerned of the white anarchist groups and the white militia groups who are going to operate under the cover of the Black protester to destroy infrastructure and damage property.
That's right.
So they were not afraid of Black people protesting. They were afraid of the white anarchist group. That's why he got convicted. They didn't want to flip that price tag. It was not about Black justice. It was white capitalism that convicted Chauvin.
I don't disagree with that at all. But the only thing I push back on with that is the fact that I don't want people to think what Derek Chauvin did wasn't wrong. Because you saw
it was wrong.
It was exactly.
It was absolutely wrong. And here's what makes the case so pathetic. The whole world saw what happened. Indisputable. And shout out to the teenager who taped the whole thing. God bless her or him.
It was a young girl.
God bless her. You know what made the case so sad? We all saw what would happen. And yet everybody still was on pins and needles. That's right. To see if he would be held accountable. That's right. And then you heard the judge tell him and his attorney that because of the comments that Queen Mother Representative Maxine Waters made, you may have grounds to appeal the case. First of all, he can appeal the case anyway. But why did the judge have to remind him that you have the opportunity here to appeal the case? And because he doesn't have a record, under Minnesota law, Derek Chauvin could do as little as 12 and a half years and be home to enjoy the rest of his life. But here's a point I want you gentlemen to recognize. I want to go to President Biden. President Biden, your first day of office, and protect the life. But you did it on your first day. And told people that if you don't vote for me, you ain't Black. So if you went out of your way begging Black people to vote for you, why haven't we got an executive order or any other activity coming out of the Oval Office from President Biden to protect Black people from police? Look what he's doing with the anti-Asian hate. President Joe Biden signed an executive order that is exclusive to Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. I don't have a problem with that. But if you can protect the Asian American and Pacific Islander from violence, why can't you do the same thing for Black people? They've been dealing with violence for 1 year as a result of COVID. That's what it's called, the COVID-19 hate crimes bill, to protect Asians as a result of discriminatory treatment that they've been dealing with for how long? 1 year. Black people have been catching hell for 400 years, and we have yet to get an executive order from Joe Biden to protect us from the police, and also Charlemagne and Envy, to further highlight the racism of American government. The transgender executive order is not for people of color. It is not for minorities. It is not for disadvantaged communities. Guess who it's for? Transgender. The anti-Asian Pacific Islander hate the executive order against hate is not for people of color. It's not for minorities. It's not for disadvantaged Americans. It is exclusively and only for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Why am I bringing that up? When Barack Obama was in office, all these Negroes running around screaming for Obama, I still don't know why, said that Barack Obama can't do nothing specifically for black people because this is America. And when we got the Civil Rights Bill in 64 and the Voting Rights Act in 65, they included two words at the end of that. One was gender and the other was sexual orientation. So the Civil Rights Bill did not only apply to blacks, it applied to everybody. So if you have to make laws for all Americans, Charlemagne and Indy, how do you explain the fact that the Asian Americans got a law just for them yesterday? The United States Senate, in historic precedent, passed the anti-Asian hate crimes bill at a vote of 96-1. Now, to give you an idea of what that means, the Senate, they don't agree on nothing. The Democrats and Republicans, they filibustered each other to death. But yesterday they didn't. 96, only one person voted against the anti-Asian hate crimes bill. So can I ask you a question? If the Senate was able to pass the anti-Asian hate crimes bill in the 96-1 with almost no opposition, why is it that the Emmett Till lynching bill still has not been approved? Why is it that there have been over 200 different anti-lynching bills introduced in the U.S. Congress? 200! And not one of them has been approved by the U.S. Congress yet. But the first ever Asian bill goes through on the first try. Look at the racism. Look at the discrimination. Look at the bias. Look at the inequity there. And why are they catering to the Asians? You know why? Because the amount of white people in this country is shrinking. That's right. And whenever the amount of white people in America looks to find other white groups or other minority groups that they can build an alliance with to protect their power and their interests. Who better than the Asians? They're just as conservative politically as many middle-class white Americans. They are just as economically comfortable as many middle-class white Americans. They don't like black people just as much as many middle-class white Americans. Not to mention that this can go a long way towards building relationships with Asian countries on the continent of Asia that America can afford to build an alliance with Russia. Let's be clear about something. The continent of Asia is a big problem for the U.S. government. You got three power nations on that continent. You got Russia, that America can't stand. You got China, that America can't control. And you got India, which is one of the fastest growing populations, and it is quickly becoming the IT giant of the world. Kamala Harris is the vice president by accident. Kamala Harris is the vice president on purpose because America needed to send the nation of India an olive branch to improve their relations because America can't afford for India to get tight with China or Russia. This is politics. And they're going to use the Asians, okay, as probationary whites. They're going to upgrade them to probationary white status to make sure that they stay on the side of the white man and not go on the side of the black man. This Asian agenda is a distraction from the issues that are affecting black people. How do you sign an executive order for the transgenders, executive orders for the Asians? He has signed nothing for black people. And mind you, Envy and Charlemagne, there have been at least 5 notable policeism cases on Joe Biden's watch. You had the 16-year-old sister who was shot 4 or 5 times with the knife. And I don't want nobody to tell me that the police were justified.
We're going to get to that.
Okay, I got you. But the 5, her. And then you have Officer Nazario, the African Latino brother who was harassed by the police in his car.
The lieutenant.
You had the brother, 17-year-old boy, murdered by the police in the bathroom
Anthony
in
Thompson.
Knoxville, Tennessee.
Anthony Thompson Jr.
The other brother in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, who was shot in the execution of a warrant. And I'm missing some. Oh, Dante Wright, who was murdered, and she thought it was a taser. Tasers don't look like guns. Tasers don't feel like guns. They don't weigh the same as guns. And there's no way under heaven you accidentally thought a taser was a gun. But again, 5 cases, and the president still has not acted. The same president that told the Breakfast Club that if you black and don't vote for me, you ain't black. But why haven't you done anything for black people yet, Joe Biden?
And don't forget about the George Floyd Policing Act.
Oh, that still hasn't passed yet. Exactly. Exactly. But you passing bills for everybody else, but nothing for black people. And part of this is our fault because we didn't make no demands on Joe Biden before he got elected. We didn't make no demands on Joe Biden before he got elected. And you know why Joe Biden ain't going to do nothing about police genocide? Because number one, it's acceptable in America for police to kill blacks. That's number one. And number two, he can't afford to isolate conservative Democrats and middle of the road Republicans as it relates to him getting approved all the legislation he wants to get carried over during his presidency. So Joe Biden got to make a decision. I either got to stand up for black people, you understand, or I can keep white people comfortable enough.
Hey, yo, I'm sorry me to cut off in between that, but that got just what he was saying. He spoke about a lot of stuff, and I'm gonna go through as best I can and what I remember. But I know he spoke about the George Floyd situation, how people were celebrating because of Derek Chauvin conviction. And I told you all that I couldn't see him. I couldn't see him walking away because of the political, social, and racial implication that came with his case. And it's political and social unrest in the United States. It's not just with blacks; it's with whites as well. You know, and as he said about the protesters and whatnot, you know, a lot of whites that was a part of militias or was against the government came out there to destroy, to bring havoc and make and put in the guise of black people being angry about police violence, right? But you were angry, you know what I'm saying? And tired, and we were out there and we was representing. But as far as that trial, I definitely believe it was totally political. Um, he says economical too. Um, I can agree with that as well. And I feel like they had to appease the situation. They had to appease and show black people that, hey, we trying to stop. But at the same time, we know overall they still killing us. What happened to that 16-year-old young queen and all the recent shootings that have been going on down to your right and what have you, we know that fixing this problem is not so we definitely just can rely on the government. That's something we definitely have to make sure we prepared on and willing to protect ourselves and not expect the government to help us. But at the same time, we have to understand what's really going on right now. What to see what's really, really going on right now. White people are scared that black people are gonna one day flip out. And then they also extra scared that white people will also flip out on their own kind. Because they see that we've been getting messed over for so long. And it's just not no police violence. I mean, in employment, education, financing, government, you name it. We've been getting blues. And for so long they've been trying to show people throw people in our face that have made it, right? And we know that for the most part, and just looking back at what happened with Wall Street and all these black towns, how they destroyed it, right? Just knowing what they we can go farther than Black Wall Street. We can go back to the late 1800s. We can go back to early 19. I mean, it's so much history. Well, despite what they have been doing us, we constantly been moving forward, right? So they know that they're back against the wall. That's why I don't understand why black people are still fussing and fighting. Why we can't get it right. I don't understand it for the world. That's why I dropped that video on too much noise in the room. We talking but not getting nothing done. and he addressed that. He addressed that too about how it was our fault. You know, when Bob got off, we didn't come, and he was trying to say, well, people did come. He said, he was saying a concerted effort. He said, man, you know, we all don't agree with whatever he said, but still, we didn't have an agenda. You know, I know about the Ice Cube platinum plan, what have you. And, you know, he got, he had arranged a known people to put that together, right? But still, he was just saying that it wasn't a united front, like, and slap in the face that I noticed about Joe Biden presidency and something that Dr. Umar Jones was pouring out. As soon as he came off, he signed a transgender law, which he was going to. I don't know if he broke it down earlier, but he was talking about how it really didn't affect black people and so forth. He talked about civil rights bill on the past the '60s and how he said they had they had other stuff. I forgot exactly what he said that was on the back of the bill. It had nothing to do with black. You know what I'm saying? And he was showing back. He was saying how that had been watered down, right? And I don't, if again, I don't remember exactly what he had said, but if y'all watch that video, you'll catch what he's saying. Talk about it in there. But also the fact that black people have been getting killed and lynched in this country for forever, right? And Umar Jordan pointed out the 5 cases in office that Joe Biden, have witnessed with police terrorism all over the news and whatnot. He didn't try to sign out one bill. As soon as it started being popularized that Asians being terrorized, he immediately signed a bill and had a alarming 96-1 vote to pass this bill Sunday. I mean, I believe it was Monday. No, it was Sunday. I mean, that's just a slap in the face. And like he had said on Charlamagne God, he told Charlamagne God Breakfast Club when Joe Biden was on, he said, if black people don't vote for him, they're not black. He have not passed not one, pushed not one bill, or spoke about one bill trying to do for black people that he got signed. I ain't talking about talking that he got signed. And the messed up part about it all is the fact that you have all these different black people that talk about vote for Biden, vote Democrat, blah, blah, blah. He's going to break it down in a minute. I don't want to talk too ahead of myself. I'm going to talk about all that, Trump and all that. And I think he gave a damn good response to that. But when he talked about how Asians, how they trying to, make sure Asians, Americans over here, where they can have some kind of relationship or bond with them or some kind of allegiance because of Russia and China, and then India going. I did research India. He's not lying. India is definitely, like can be the next country that blow up in technology and whatnot, right? So when he was saying, I know he wasn't lying. I'm like, okay, cool. That made me listen deeply. And he was trying to say because white people, as far as numbers, is dropping, right? Is dropping. But see, what I think he forgot to say that I'm gonna say. White people already had it designed it already. They play what colorization game. The mulattoes. You don't see no dog China. You don't see no dog China women on the news. You don't see that in Mexico. You don't see that in Japan. So they are definitely playing the color game, right? They play in the black community. They've been doing it for years. The fair skin all on plantation. The light skin over the dark skin. So they definitely gonna try to boost their numbers up with mulattoes or playing colorization game with Asians and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And I 100% believe that. I did so much reading and research on it, but the brother spends so much fact. The reason why I want to just share this video and chop it with y'all because We need to hear this. We need to talk about this. While we fighting among each other, we gotta see what they're doing around us. I'm gonna let Achoti come in and speak.
So we got to look at the bigger agenda. Do y'all remember the Black
Right.
Identity Extremists? BIE, Black Identity Extremists, that came on right along the time where everybody was saying Black Lives Matter. The bigger agenda. That was a memorandum. That wasn't a law, but that was a memorandum. It never was retracted. They had a hearing on it. They asked some questions, but we never found out what the follow-up responses from the Department of Justice was, right? So the bigger agenda, they could pass a COVID-19 hate crime bill and protect Asians. They also have an anti-Jew bill, whatever that's called, where you can't say anything against the Jewish people. You have to, in some cases, you even have to sign a waiver saying that you will not say anything against the Jewish people to get a job. Before you get your job, when you put your contract, they make you sign that waiver in some states that you will not say anything against the Jewish people. How they get all these special rights? But we get laws that identify us as extremists if we identify ourselves as being black and proud. What's the bigger agenda? I'm going to ask you the question, man. What's the bigger agenda?
For black people, there's
What,
no agenda.
no,
They sit down and agree.
but what's their agenda? What's their bigger agenda? That they could pass a hate crime bill for Asians, hate crime bill for Jewish people, but then pass a memorandum that was spread to the policing authorities to handle black people in a certain kind of way. If they even think that we're enemy combatant, that we get handled like we're criminals, like we're terrorists, straight off the rip. Those are type of things those are kind of directives that are in place right now across America in all these police departments and sheriff departments. So the question is, how could they allow a memorandum like that to stand and not publicly retract it, but yet sign an Asian hate crime bill? What's the big agenda behind that?
All right. Well, I'm gonna just give you my opinion. You know what I'm saying? How I see this, right? The agenda has always been control black people. That's number one. To control them. The second one is to commit massive genocide, and not just the physical termination, but also the spiritual and mental, right? And see, for black people, since we've been in this country, particularly, really all over the diaspora, right? We always been fighting against the laws, the power that B have put in place, right? They're constant. We sleeping, they're thinking on us. They're in these rooms, writing stuff up, congregating, communicating, what have you. They're finding every possible way to not let a black man and black woman get any kind of power and influence. And those who have power and influence, their minds carefully, right? But their goal they have always have ulterior motive. White people are geniuses and smile in your face and shake your hand, signing paper and everything, and then violating the treaty. Then backdooring you, kidnapping you, and killing you. I mean, they don't play by the rules. The only rules they play by is domination, dictatorship. That's the only thing they see. They don't see you like they see them. That's why the average white person look down on black people and talk to black people like they don't know that you can have one of the highest educations, a PhD. And you don't have to be Eurocentric, you can be Afrocentric. they'll still talk to you like you ain't nothing until you show them that you know what you're talking about, and you make them feel like they're nothing. So that's how I look at it.
Well, I think that, old Biden ought to go ahead and lay up there and do an executive order and demand that the Department of Justice cease and desist on arresting any black people for anything at this time. I think that should be an emergency executive order, so, because like we are in a state of emergency with these cops and these guns and shooting black people. I think they just cease and desist on killing, on shooting black people, using their authority against black people right now until they come up with some kind of law, until they pass the crime bill.
And if they don't, they're gonna get bad. They're gonna get bad in the streets. Black people are not gonna allow white people, anybody to keep hurting. I don't blame them. Cause see, they talk that stuff about obeying the law, but they break the law every damn day. And black people are getting tired. There's gonna be no more marching with guns. Black people gonna start shooting guns. And it's gonna be mayhem whether they like it or not. So the thing about it is, you ask or you request and then you start demanding. And when all else fell, what happened? Because you can't keep allowing yourself to be subjected to violence, to mistreatment, because police violence is only a small part. We gotta look at our communities, schools. We gotta look at what we don't have in our communities as far as progressive black businesses, hospitals, you know what I'm saying? We lacking that four. That four he's talking about, we lacking a place to go buy food. You know, a place to go buy food, a place to teach your people, a place to teach your people, a hospital to save your people, um, um, a bank to invest in your people, and the last one is hospital, bank, hospital, bank,
Education, huh?
school, education, and then excuse me, and the teacher people before the teacher people. You know what I'm saying? We lacking that. We lacking those folk. And though they have black schools and what have you, a lot of these black schools are still conforming to some of these white curriculums that's in total contradiction to some of the things they probably teach it. And I'm not here to try to judge and say I know the black schools with the curriculum and what have you, but a lot of time black people, even when they are conscious and trying to do the right thing, they still try to cater and please white people, and that's not healthy. So, but let's continue on because the clock is rolling, and we halfway through.
To approve my legislation. And what is he choosing? He's choosing his legislation over the lives of black folks.
Yeah, I do disagree. A lot of people made demands of Biden, but then you had other people saying,
No. Not people, Charlamagne, as a community.
That's hard, though, because black people aren't monolithic. We can never get on the same page.
Asians aren't monolithic, but they can still organize and put a platform out.
Very true, but to my point, you had people that were putting platforms out, but you had other people saying, no, we got to get Trump out. Don't rock the boat right now. Wait until Biden gets in and then make demands.
Right, but the problem we made as a community is we made Donald Trump the scapegoat for racism. Just like we made Barack Obama the angel, you understand, for government, we made Donald Trump the devil. You don't do either one of those. The U.S. government is a system. It's not a person. So when you make Donald Trump the scapegoat for all of American racism, you let the government off the hook. You don't.
Let's start right there. Now you have to listen to what he's saying. That is so factual, right? That is so real because we got caught up into having a black president, right? And we know what there was the pushback he got and what had. But for what I know, I don't know executive order he ever tried to write and push the Congress for black people, even though they probably would have voted against it. He never did that, right? And moving to Donald Trump, everybody talking about how racist Donald Trump was. Like you said, it's not a person, institutions. And we really propagated and spoke this a lot. We whined about Donald Trump all day long, and Biden coming in like most Democrats, smooth talking, blah blah. If black people don't vote for me, they're not black. And Look what Biden doing. Now I don't know what he may do for black people, future wise. Don't get me wrong. Black people are getting stimulus money, but everybody gets stimulus money. And that's how a lot of times, that's why I tell people, you gotta read the fine print because there's money out there for us. We just gotta know how to get to it. And then a lot of times when you're dealing with um anything, they want to run your credit and so forth. And black people don't take credit serious and so forth. So, and sometimes black be like I'm tired of government. They've been doing this, that, and another. I don't recommend that you just give up on yourself or give up on any opportunity, but I understand how you feel about the government, right? But to make a long story short, this is real. I watch people literally whine about Donald Trump, complain about Donald Trump, this, that, other, and I'm like, it's bigger than him. It's always been bigger than him. He only just brought a lot of them out the closet that would smile in your face, laugh, talk, see you on the job or in the store, what have you, or live on in the next neighborhood you might run across, what have you, all the while. The racist value was always there. And hearing him say that, right, and how he just broke it down, I felt like that's something we really need to think about. Because they played such a mind game with Donald Trump, we practically walked Joe Biden in office. And like he was just saying about, we never brought none to Biden for black people, and how Charlamagne God gave him a pushback about people bringing something to him. And he was talking about as a united front. And he said, um, we don't have to be all organized, you know what I'm saying? All black people have to be organized basically for something like that. But the core, of the black community that really can, really want change, should know what to push the government and be adamant about. And I had to just stop and just say something about it because we can't sleep on that. How they use Donald Trump as an example to get, as a bad example, of course he was, of course, all that and above, to get Biden in office. And as I said, there's so many question marks about dude because he's an old racist himself. You know what I'm saying? He got the so old antiquated ways and trying to be, like he said, it's either gonna help black people or please conservative, Democrats, white people, etc., etc., etc. So that's just a real discussion I think we really need to be having right now because it's real serious out here. You got something you want to say, Achoti?
All I want to say to my people is to ask themselves, where's your congressional black caucus in right now? Where's the whole time when Donald Trump was in office? What did the congressional black caucus have to say? The only person I heard speaking out was Maxine Waters.
He speak about them too next in that.
Why aren't they on the front lines like having CNN and Fox News all and holding press conferences on the steps of the Congress, demanding that Congress and the Senate pass the bill? We got control of both houses right now. What are we doing? And where's the black caucus? That's the question I would have, let the people in the chat respond. Where are they? Have we heard from them? They're silent right now. That's why I don't participate in that masquerade of a voting scheme.
Right.
Reduce a system as powerful as this to an individual or a personality. The problem, which is what I think you're saying, so we don't disagree on this point, we are disorganized. And it is the disorganization that makes it difficult for us to put forward a unified platform. So what happens is people are self-anointing themselves as the representatives of black people. Look at the Congressional Black Caucus. You got what? 57 black representatives in the House. You got 2 black U.S. senators. That's almost 60 people in the Congressional Black Caucus that's been around since 1971. What has the Congressional Black Caucus done since 1971? But let me ask a better question. Why hasn't the Congressional Black Caucus demanded that Joe Biden issue an executive order against police genocide of black people like he did for the transgenders and the Asians? Why are our black elected officials sitting there quiet on Capitol Hill watching our people get assassinated like this when they're right down the street from the president? And I'll tell you why. They're Democrats. And when you're a registered Democrat, you're part of a team. You're part of a club. And you can't go too hard because we will lose middle of the road Republicans and conservative Democrats in the midterm election. So all those blacks in the CBC got to be quiet, shut up, swallow their pain, and deal with it because you cannot rock the vote or you will mess up the whole Democratic agenda. That's why I do not vote for black people who are registered as Democrats or Republicans. I only vote for independent candidates because if you are not an independent candidate, you don't have an independent program, you are not an independent thinker, and you ain't going to bring us no independent freedom. The Democrats are a waste of time. If the Congressional Black Caucus can't make Joe Biden do anything for black people, then they need to dissolve themselves. We don't even need them anymore. They're useless.
Do you believe there is any policy or legislation that will stop police executions of black people? Like you think, like if they implement the George Floyd Policing Act, will it stop the executions of black people?
That act, but my suspicions are it doesn't really have any teeth in it. Because when I get the act that Nancy Pelosi introduced, the police reform bill, right around the time that the George Floyd riots kicked off, it didn't have no teeth in it. First and foremost, the unjustified murder of a black person by a police officer should automatically be charged as a hate crime. Number one, it is a hate crime. These police killing us are committing hate crimes, and nobody is treating them like hate crimes. So the first change in the legislation is that it all has to be treated as a hate crime. Second change in the legislation is the payouts. The civil suit payouts come from the police officer's pension, and it comes from the police union, and it comes from the order of the police. Make them pay, because you can't tell me that you're going to make black taxpayers pay, you understand, for the criminal behavior of police. How am I getting a victory if I'm the one who has to pay for his mistakes? Make the police pay and charge every murder as a hate crime, and I guarantee you they'll think twice before they start killing black folks.
Yeah, in the George Floyd Policing Act, that's what they want to do. They want to get rid of qualified immunity. If you get rid of qualified immunity,
and this is where I'm gonna start with the video. The video still got another, like, I don't know, 20-30 minutes, and me and Tamara have been really talking about a lot of things. And the reason why I want to share this video is to give y'all an idea of what's really going on right now in our community in reference to how we treated. And brother Umar Johnson, I think, did a good job. I have the video in my description, and I definitely want you all to watch when you get time. And if you can't watch catch the other half and just check out what he's saying, because it's so deep. Even when he was talking about this now about how they need to change the law and look hate the white officers killing black people, as well as us, our taxpayer money, paying black people families off for what he did as opposed to going on his pension, etc., etc., etc. You know what I'm saying? You talk about the Black Caucus, and I've seen a couple of people talk about the Black Caucus and what they have done since 1971 and have, and it's just sad and sick to see that all these black people in powerful positions have no real worth, and they look like they're fooling around atonement, while you got people that really have boots on the ground trying to fight against this government that we know is trying to destroy anyone that's speaking contrary to it. So I just had to just share this video. It's like an hour, I believe, and 16 minutes. And I don't want to this live and going on now 43 minutes. And I just want to start right here because it was so much we covered. And in this video, I watched the whole thing. It's just off the chain. And I really believe that we need to actually zoom in on any black person talking, chop these subjects up, and then going hard about handling issues that they're talking about. Because this is real. Black people should feel played to a certain degree. And I know Biden hasn't been in office no more than 100 days. But still, the blatant disrespect, the blatant racism, it's out of control. And if they really want peace with us, they really want to make it up to us, they better do it soon. Because black people are not going to constantly be sitting around, protesters constantly be sitting around, letting hers constantly be sitting around waiting on them to give us ours. You know, and if not, we going to have to do what we got to do. But you remember, it start with us first. It start with us first. We got to get our stuff together. Them 4 things he keep talking about we need. The school, to teach, grocery store to feed our kids, hospital to save our people, and a bank to invest in us. And know what across the United States, no black community have that. But look at other groups. It was just deep, y'all. You know, so I'm gonna let tomorrow come in and then I'm gonna go through everybody comments and we're gonna roll out here.
Yeah, brother, I do agree this video was deep and gave us a lot to think about, some self-reflection. Now, like I said, what's the bigger agenda? What's the end game for them? And once we start to recognize that they already have an end game for us, we gotta start thinking about how we can protect ourselves against that. And that's just the bottom line. So we got to put things in place. If we know that they're miseducating our babies, then we got to start educating our babies. If we know that they're painting these vaccinations, then we got to stop taking these vaccinations. If we know that they're riding their police cars through our neighborhoods and harassing our brothers, then we need to stand behind our brothers and sisters that want to form militias and support them to help start policing our neighborhoods. Like, we got to stop saying, we got to stop with the click stuff. We got to stop with the click stuff. And because everybody's going to have a role to play, everybody have a talent, bring all your talents to the table. You may not be a military person. You may not be militant. You may not be a warrior. So the militia is not for you. But you may be an educator. So that you can step up and say, hey, how can I help educate and even tutor our kids if we don't have a school? So we can start getting together and say, yeah, like you do your platform, Major. People started to say and start putting in the chat what they want to do. And we collect all that information. We holler back at you and we start coming together. Instead of everybody saying, we got to do something, we need to unite. Okay, start putting in the chat what you want to do or what can you do. I do tutoring. I do promotions. Major, I sell real estate. Peep this out, gang. This is something really that's about to start happening. People are about to start losing their houses. People are about to start losing their homes because they can't pay the landlord all that back rent. Moratoriums are expiring. Don't be fooled. Our people about to be hurting. They're about to be losing their work, their assets when they start being foreclosed on because the banks don't want to work with them no more. It's real. So what are we going to do to help these people? That's what I'm talking about. Collectively, we got to learn how to trust each other too. We have to learn how to trust each other. If we want to say we're going to help set up a fund for anytime somebody gonna fall on hard times, then who you going to trust to hold down those funds? Everybody going to start saying, "Oh, they stealing the money. They stealing the money. They stealing the money. They stealing the money." We got to stop that. I could go on and on. I know you're tired, man. Let me bounce off on that. But I just want to tell y'all. We just gotta stop thinking about the immediate right now and start thinking about the future because our children are who are going to be making decisions for us when we're too old to make these decisions. If the Most High give us that grace, that longevity on earth. So with that being said, what is the priority? Let us know because Major and I are really trying to communicate and really trying to grow with you guys. Like we're the ordinary people, we're day-to-day working people, but that's what you call grassroots. So and I encourage y'all to join the organizations that's already in existence, the gun clubs and whatnot, the militias and whatnot. Join so that one day eventually we can all come together. But if we're all doing our little part right now, then eventually it's gonna come together and it's gonna all make sense, and they're gonna be astonished at who the Most High chosen people are. With that, I'd say shalom, family, shalom.
All right, I'm gonna run through these comments, y'all. I see y'all have a lot to say. You know what I'm saying? So let's get it. Tear the city, they will destroy anything we build because we are we are not will to protect each other at all costs. Right. We can't let that happen. We gotta definitely come together for real. Um, Clean black sneakers. We love downing us. We need lifted up. Period. Had our kids drop out in class to teach, I was offended. That generation well built. Wow, sorry to hear that. Bring it all together. Unity, everyone has something to bring to the table. Peace, Gary. Real talk. Shamika said, at some point our people gonna have to unite and take a real stand on all fronts. If we out there marching, we can leave out the boycott and we don't support their business in our community. Got a lot of comments tonight, boy. See, shouldn't say black media, but still, the black folks, they were out there harassing people to go vote for George Kamala. You're not lying. It was definitely promoting them hard. How you doing? See the great TV? Was popping good, family. Peace of the guys. What's up? Mike, what's up? It's rare to agree with everything anyone says, but Dr. Umar is correct. I agree. Thanks for doing this video, Major. Dr. Umar, Dr. Umar, wow, my man. Great interview. Thanks to Cody Tamar as well. Say thank you, Cody. OC the Great said, all good, God. YouTube disabled my page, but I'm back up tomorrow. Sorry to hear that, man. I heard something on that, man. Sorry to hear that, bro. I knew he was gonna shake back, you know. What is coming? All right. I see D Marie came in. Blessed to as well, my sister. All right, she's speaking to somebody else. How you doing? Robin said I went to an HBCU. They taught us Black history. My first book They Came Before Columbus. All right, that's good, boo. That's good. Val Williams said I taught I taught school for 26 years in the city. In the cities, they weren't not allowed to diagnose the children. We had to refer them to a child study team to make any diagnosis. All right, good, good. And congrats for teaching our kids for 26 years. It's a beautiful thing trying to get out there and work with the kids. Hope you see some of that real knowledge too, though. Knowledge by self. What's up, my brother? At Made TV, tune in here. We drive some knowledge tonight. For sure, thank you, Lord. Appreciate that. Then I'm gonna do my thing. Umar is one of the strong black leaders, whether people acknowledge it or not. Facts. PT PTTG. We have love. We love Umar and have a vision for our black power, education. We must learn love ourselves now. Right, right, right. Roland Cole, how you doing, brother? Peace. Malcolm X spoke about the times about these issues, and he's in his speech, "Bullet of the Battle." He laid the framework on how we can become a strong black nation within his lecture. It's time to wake up and rise up. So right, my brother. So right. Seems like six niggas said, "Okay, I thought we wanted to start putting together our own education package for our own schools. As black people, what happened?" Good question. Good question. Cody, you still here?
Yes, sir. I'm still here. I'm looking at
Yeah,
the
all right, all
comments
right.
in YouTube on YouTube.
All right, somebody shout you out. He did a good job. Honor confers a crown. Peace and blessings. So true. We are losing in so many areas. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's why we definitely have to step it up for real. For real, real.
I'm looking in the chat box, man. I don't see nobody putting in what they do up in here.
You asked that?
Yeah, I remember I said, put it out what y'all do. How can you
Um,
contribute? How can we come together? What's your area of expertise?
I heard Cody speak. She want to know what y'all do and what kind of expertise y'all have that can contribute to our struggle. You can
Does
feel
anybody
free if you wanted to.
yeah, does anybody need
I'm
any
listening.
help with anything? You know what I'm saying? Like for real, let's talk.
Yeah, we might have to set up another segment for that, Cody. But yeah, if y'all want to do that, y'all can definitely share that with you in the live in a little bit. Shamika said at some point our people gonna have to unite and take a real stand off fronts. If we out there, oh, I read it too. I like it. We out there. When we out there marching, we can't leave out the boycott if you don't support the business. I already read that comment, but that's deep. That's deep. Look, I know I have cut y'all. I know I haven't caught all your comments. You know what I'm saying? Koiza said, nowhere is there any real black caucus. Is that also the illusion? Seem like it. Y'all it's late. I don't want. All right. What comment? Um, 100 black. Right. What's up, OC? I consider Don Umar king. Even so, issues is black YouTubers call each other out in front of the corporation. Oh, on the virtual scape. All right. Told the OC. OC said I don't. care what people say about Umar, brother. Get some jewels, got some jewels with him that I appreciate. Not everyone is perfect though. Real talk, fam. I appreciate y'all. Cody, I'm gonna be signing out. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate you coming through. You know what I'm saying? And showing so much love to me. I appreciate y'all. Y'all really was great tonight. You know what I'm saying? I like the participation. Y'all like the video. Y'all share it. You know, y'all get the word out that we got work to do. Thank y'all for everything. Thank y'all for your love, y'all support. It was a long one for me. I did a 2-hour video in so long. Y'all take care. Stay focused, stay on cold, and just be black. Peace.
Thank y'all for tuning in over there on Soul Journey of Life. That was a Achoti Speak special with Major TV. We hope to be back on Soul Journey of Life, the Black We Speak podcast again on Sunday morning. Until then, thanks for tuning in and shalom.